Okay, hello everybody and welcome to another video. This is part 2 of my 3-part video, little mini-series, I guess, pre-patch bonanza, talking about the new update, the Start to Living World Season 2, and in particular on this video I want to talk more specifically about what's changed in the world and what goes on in Drytop. There's actually a fair few new mechanics that the devs have introduced to the game, and I figure this will be a nice way with live commentary, I'm actually playing the game right now, to talk you guys through some of it. So, the main change, of course, is that if we scroll out on the world map, you'll now see there's a huge new section of the world map that's been added. It's called Drytop. It does match up with an old Guild Wars 1 map called Drytop. Back in the first game, for the record, nothing ever really happened there. You'd only ever go there to get some like achievements. You'd want to vanquish it, for example. It was just like a small area. I think some of the environment does match what it was before. In the first game, for example, up in the very north of the map, you could see what appeared to be some kind of loads of holes in a cliff face, and what even maybe looked like, I remember speculating, could have been a centaur village. Well, there's actually a town up there in Guild Wars 2. I don't know whether it's meant to specifically relate to what that is, but it's called Prosperity. And there's even a waypoint there called the Prosperity Waypoint. So we'll have a look at that stuff in just a second. This isn't a full tour of Drytop. I will be having a commentary-less tour of Drytop going up just after this video. That's the third video. It's 40 minutes long. It's of me wandering around in this wonderful new map, experiencing it for the first time, talking to many of the NPCs, and there's no commentary in there to clutter things up. But for this one, I want to talk about the things I've learned, like, mechanically. So anyway, that's what's going on at Drytop, but how do we get to Drytop? Well, if we head into Brisban Wildlands, many people speculated for a long time that the new map would be close to Brisban. And the reason we speculated on that was because there have been 2 portal exits to Brisban for a fair amount of time. One hidden behind a fort, which I'm just headed to now, and one in the very north beyond a broken bridge. So it only seemed fair that ArenaNet, especially since at the end of Season 2, where they set up that Marjorie's sister Belinda was going to be going to Brisban Wildlands, that maybe we'd assault this fort, right? And that's where we'd start the new patch. We'd head behind there and go into the portal. I guess ArenaNet had other ideas. They didn't really care. Now, there is a meta event, well, a heart even here, talking about an alliance between 3 different peoples. The Inquest, the Nightmare Court, and Bandits, okay? They're like the Triforge Alliance, I believe. There's even a meta event here, or just an event that jokes about the death of the Holy Trinity. Well, the people in this alliance are referenced in the new map, and there is lore going on there to do with these guys, but the map doesn't directly adjoin to this. You'll still want to come to this waypoint here, though, the Triforge point, or maybe there's a closer one, when you first want to experience the map, because where they've actually added it is further to the south. Not behind the fort, not at the other side of the bridge, but further to the south, to the left of, to the south, sorry, of Aurora's remains. So that's where I'm going to head to here. This is all just vanilla, I guess is the term we'll use. Brisban Wildlands stuff. We're just going to be heading south. I'll super speed it so that you guys can see, and you'll notice now that the terrain towards some of the cliffs has changed quite significantly. Not only has it changed, but there's a new meta event here too, which you can see here, called Jungle Entanglement. As you can see there, Seraph forces are working to weed out the vines blocking the passes into Tangle route. So even though this is a meta, I think there's only actually one event that occurs here, or I guess it's a 2-part event. You'll notice there's I think they're using one of the new icons here. So we're currently the Northern Entanglement. This, for the record, in the lore, this is a swamp where there was a lot of influence from the Thormanova reactor disaster, which was closely tied to the Season 1 story, which is quite cool. So they did choose this location. This whole gorge here has just been cut out of the cliff. Never used to exist. Over there, I think, is a skill challenge that's always existed. Nearby is a golem event where people used to farm giants. Anyway, so up here you'll see there's a bunch of new stuff going on, and these indeed are new enemies. These are jungle tendrils. This patch has introduced a lot of new mobs to the game. I've talked to my channel before about the fact that they have to add a lot more enemy variety, right? If we're going to be fighting another Elder Dragon, we can't just be fighting husks and worms the entire time. What about the rest of his minions? Well, these are some of them. We've got some wolves here. You'll notice look just like the thorn wolves that many of the Nightmare Court of the Silvari use. And these weird jungle tendrils. Now, while this event is going on, unless we don't kill all of these things, our passage into the new map, Drytop, is actually barred. So I've got tangling roots on me there. These enemies are actually kind of dangerous as well, for the record. We are downscaled to level 26, so there you go. It's over there. I'm going to die. Now, it's actually very hard where I'm recording right now. My character doesn't have any good gear at all. It's got a terrible build, and it's actually a massive hassle to get anything good. So I just sort of slapped on what I thought would be the most face roll, and as you can see, it's actually kind of challenging. So obviously when this is all live, lots of people will be here, you'll be able to fight through. I don't know how it scales particularly, I've only ever soloed this event. And you do get Seraph that are actually helping you out here too, so that's quite nice. And they alone can actually push the event. It just takes them a really long time. So you can see over there on the top right, I'm slowly culling the jungle minion infestation. We should be done soon. The tendrils do hurt. They use like a big siege attack, and also that AoE knockback attack that I just got hit with there and couldn't dodge because all my keybinds are messed up. So you do want to be careful of that. I believe you can actually reflect their siege stuff if you're careful enough about it. But it's just a matter, it's actually very similar to what you want to do to fight worms and stuff in dungeons. Like if you've done a lot of Twilight Arbor, you'll know the best way to deal with the worm at the start of that, or any of them, is to try and engage them in melee so they won't siege. Anyway, by doing that, the Seraph are going to start talking, and the vines won't go away because this is actually a two-part event. Yes, we've culled the northern invasion, but you'll see that now the meta event has changed, saying that the only 1 out of 2 mountain passes has been cleared. So we're going to head to the second mountain pass, which is just further to the south. And as I say, you know, these are kind of remote areas. You've got the Mercrise waypoint, or the Triforge Point waypoint. Each one will probably lead you to a different battle head. I obviously chose the northern one. So I'll see you guys over there. Again, we're back in regular terrain right now. And as you can see, as I move closer, there's been no players here at all, right? But you'll see that the infestation's almost culled already. And that is purely because of the AI that are around here. I'd like to see ArenaNet make some pushes on this, you know, make AI that's hanging out with you really useful. But there you go. So now you can see the door is opening. It was very easy for us to open this thing up. And you'll see you get a capture point here. This is the final part to the event, where what we need to do is simply take control of this capture point from these enemies. And once again, I'm getting wrecked. See, I'm actually dead right now. It's so bad, man. I wish I had good gear. It's horrible. You won't believe, like, I've got so much gold on this account, but you can't spend it on anything good. Like, wait, so if, like, I can't really get any good trinkets and stuff. I think I've got 2 ascended bits of trinkets and that's it. And only exotic quality gear, but whatever. It's a big step down from playing Liss a lot, I'll say that much. Anyway, so yeah, there is dialogue. There's actually, I believe, okay, and this is only word of mouth that I heard from someone else. Wow, I'm defeated. That's how much I died. Never fear, though. I have revive orbs on me, so we'll pick one of those up. I believe there's about 2 to 3 hours worth of dialogue in this patch, not just through, you know, actual playable story stuff, but also through many of the things just these allies will say as you complete events. Anyway, so I died there, and I actually failed the event. That's what happened there, and I never managed to capture the point. So it reset at this point to mountain passes cleared back to 0 out of 2. So what I did was, so that I didn't have to redo it, and because I've already come through here, I just cheekily waypointed to the other side. So here you can see now I'm on the other side. And I guess from this side, it would actually be much quicker to actually aid in the defense of these places, because you can just go to either side. And I just got teleported through. That's really interesting. Okay, so we'll kill this husk. I'll see you guys in a second once this event has completed, because I do want to have it finished for you. And then we'll see what's beyond these vines. This is going much better this time. I've got a bunch more allies. And you'll actually notice that a lot of the events in this patch, this video isn't going to have footage of all of it, but a lot of the events in this patch work differently to events you've seen in Guild Wars 2 before. Like, they don't use the cookie cutter templates that they clearly just copy and pasted everywhere. They're actually different. So anyway, there you go. That's the event complete. You will have noticed when I was on the other side briefly here, there was the option to build stuff. I'm not sure what those would have been. Maybe siege to help people from the other side. But now the way into Drytop has been revealed. We're not actually technically in Drytop right now. We're still in Brisban Wildlands. There isn't any point of interest. Well, there is a point of interest, so I guess maybe the map completion for this place takes a little bit longer. We're at a place actually now called Tangle Root. Tangle Root was the name of a very large map in Guild Wars 1. Very jungly map in Guild Wars 1, and now is just, I guess, this very small place here called Tangle Root, which is a shame. But if this was a true matchup, it would be somewhere down here, for example. That's probably where Tangle Root would be. Anyway, so yeah, this is a small area. I do have footage of me exploring this in some of the videos. I was like climbing around up there. There doesn't seem to be that much. You'll see these kind of ominous looking tendrils off there in the distance. We won't worry too much. This isn't meant to be a massive tour. A bunch of people you can talk about here, and the start of the new living world stuff begins here. You notice how this feels just like personal story? That's because it really does mimic the way that personal story worked. So we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be spoiling any of the story stuff. Instead, let's head up here through this ominous looking portal here with these thorns. I really feel like, by the way, these thorns, like that, those thorns cradling the portal there, they're going to use for a lot of the new maps that they end up adding, which they're clearly going to do with Season 2 as it rolls out, because there's a bunch of different achievements that you can see here in regions, and particularly towards the back of Drytop, in some of these later areas around here, you can see what definitely looks like places you'll be able to travel to later. These areas all the way out here, I must be honest, I've never actually traveled to, so you can see that there's points of interest out there, but I've not actually been to them. I don't know whether they're like giant desertous areas. They look like they sort of are. Actually, the map, if I'm honest, feels like it's sort of incomplete, but there you go. Could be underground stuff. Anyway, so this is Drytop. On your first arrival here, you'll get a cutscene. I want to talk to you guys about the mechanics of the map rather than doing a big tour of it. Number one is the Zephyrite. Not all of their ships, as far as I could derive from the dialogue, not all of their ships have crashed, but some have, and you'll find a lot of Zephyrite in this area, the southeastern area of the map. You'll find plenty of Zephyrite to talk to. With them, as they dropped, are a bunch of the aspect crystals. As you saw, I just picked one up. The difference between these aspects and the old ones is, yes, you still only get 10 charges, but you're also on a time limit, okay? So once you pick one up, you only get a matter of 15 seconds to use it, and then it will fall out again. So it's not actually as free roaming as it was before, and it's going to be a lot more when we were in the Labyrinthine Cliffs, and it's going to be a lot more challenging to get to certain areas, and, you know, if you want to pull off really interesting stuff. So with the aspects come all the mechanics that were available there. Look, here's a dust fall that we wouldn't usually be able to get by, but by using this, we can port our way through, as you can see, and we can grab our next crystal. We can use this crystal to climb up here, and in general, just explore the map. So that's going to be a big thing. There are areas I haven't actually explored yet. The jumping does look kind of challenging. I must be honest, I didn't spend too long trying to mess about with the jumping, but you can like climb all the way up these ships, for example. There's a diving goggles achievement in this map, all kinds of cool stuff. There is map completion stuff too, but there is no specific area, like there's no chest for completing it. It won't contribute to like been there, done that, or any of the established stuff in Guild Wars 2. So I think that's a bit of a shame, but at least they went to the effort of adding these things. There is a bit of everything. There are points of interest, vistas, skill points. I think we're missing one thing, right? Hearts. There are no renown hearts here. But, you know, that's fine. I find it actually kind of interesting that renown hearts were one of the big things about Guild Wars 2, and now they've just sort of dropped them completely, you know? You'll notice that the map is a level 80 map. This is something that I wanted to see too, so you'll be doing your maximum absolute damage, and for low-level characters, you won't be able to contribute around here until you get to the end game, which is fine, because Living World canonically takes place after personal story. So you make a new toon, you complete the personal story, then you can go do Living World once you're level 80. So that's cool. Bunch of characters that we can talk to, and I want to talk to you guys about this big meta event. This meta event covers the entire map, okay? It reads Crash Site. It says support survivors of the crash by offering your help around Drytop and raise favor of the Zephyrite to assist with the relief effort. It says favor of the Zephyrite tier 1, and a sandstorm will arrive in 17 minutes 40 seconds. Ignore the sandstorm bit for now, right? Basically what this means is every single player here map wide, whenever they complete a dynamic event, it pushes this bar, this favor of the Zephyrite bar, higher. So the idea is, as we, the heroes of Tyria, come to this map and help the Zephyrite out, the more we help them by completing the dynamic events around here, the more they like us. We gain their favor. What do we get by gaining their favor, you might ask? I have actually never seen this go to tier 2, but I know what it awards us. So if I ever completed a dynamic event, it actually pushed it up a fair amount. There was a guy in this map a while ago who completed a dynamic event on the other side of the map to me, and it actually pushed it up as well, even though I wasn't partied with him or anything. This is completely map wide. There are a lot of tiers, and each tier, I would guess, gets harder and harder and harder to push up. When the sandstorm arrives, it like wipes the map clean, and the favor of the Zephyrite goes all the way back down to tier 1. So if you want really nice rewards, you and the other players in the area have to contribute as much as possible in a certain window of time. You get 40 minutes between sandstorms. So a sandstorm comes, it lasts I think 10 to 20 minutes. Then you have 40 minutes to help them out as much as you possibly can, and then a sandstorm comes again. There's specific stuff that happens with Sandstorm, I'll talk to you guys about in a second. But yeah, so what does giving the favor of the Zephyrite do? Well, it unlocks better stuff from merchants. So here is a guy called Dusk. He's a Zephyrite and he's a merchant. So if we press F on him, he says, I was only able to salvage a few wares from the wreckage. If you help out around the area, perhaps more will come my way. What can I do to help? Any help you can offer the good people of this area will increase my variety of wares on offer, and prices will fall. So, we can have a look at his stuff. He's got a bunch of tiers, right? The bottom one is called tools. This is what you would expect from a conventional merchant, right? You also notice that you get these things here called geodes. Now, I have never actually got a geode. I think you are rewarded with geodes from pushing the tiers of the favor of the Zephyrite up. So by doing this, you get rewarded with currency you can spend at the merchants, in addition to this copper. Now this guy, if we were a really high tier of favor of the Zephyrite or whatever, I think this guy, by adding geodes to his prices, he's actually cheaper than any other merchants that are out there. So this is actually a reason for, even when maybe the story's pushed much further on, people might still come back here and still be interested in this meta event because they can get stuff cheaper. Anyway, that's your standard merchant stuff. Now let's look here. This top tab says tier 1. This means you can only buy the stuff in this tier, in this tab, while it's on tier 1. So by default, these guys offer you Zephyrite lockpicks. It says this key opens a buried locked chest in Drytop. These chests are only visible during sandstorms. Buried locked chests can contain armor, weapons, rare skins, recipes, amberite, and more. So I'll talk about those things in just a second. But yeah, so you can buy lockpicks. You need geodes, obviously. But once you buy this lockpick, if a sandstorm rolls around, you have something to go out and do. The sandstorm blows up all these chests that are hidden around the world that give you this cool stuff. And I'll return to those rewards in just a second. I don't know too much about those rewards, I must be honest, but I know enough that's kind of interesting. So if we manage to push it to tier 2, you'll see not only will he sell us 1 lockpick, but he will also sell us 5 Zephyrite lockpicks. So, and here we also get some extra stuff. We get Nomads orichalcum inscriptions, Nomads insignias, and Amberite jewels. Now, Amberite is a new type of jewel that has been added to the game that gives you a new stat combo. Nomads is that new stat combo. This is a pure tank combo. It's toughness major stat, vitality and healing power minor stat. That is really huge. ArenaNet have never allowed us to do that before. I'm pretty sure this will never come to PvP. The game doesn't really call for the idea of being a pure tank, but it will be a fun gimmicky thing to run around in World vs. World, for example, and maybe some other interesting things too. I really like the idea of it. Basically, it's a 0 DPS set, so you would probably be dragging people down if you're trying to do formal content like dungeons, but really interesting, and I like that they've actually opened up this new stat type. They talked a long time ago about how with future patches they were going to try and introduce lots of new stat types, and this is them living up to their word and proving that it is actually kind of exciting. I really like the idea of that. So down here we can see the ascended versions of them too, which cost 250. Now remember, these are just the recipes. They're not going to give you the inscription or the insignia straight away. It's just the recipe to be able to learn it. After this, we get a sandy bag of gear. This is consumable, which you'll double click a bit. Think about like a heavy bag of moldy goods that you'd get in ore or something like that. They're sandy bags now that we're in this region, this very arid area of the world, the Maguuma wastes. And a bunch of recipes for some new foods as well. Now, unfortunately, I can't well, I could have if I put tons of effort into it. I couldn't really buff my cooking all the way to max without access to a trading post or anything. So I don't know what the boons of these foods are. But there are new materials you can salvage around here. For example, the plants in this area are cacti. You can actually harvest cacti, find cactus stuff. And here we got candy cactus cornbread, prickly pear sorbet, prickly pear pie, stuffed Nepalese, and cactus soup. So there is a lot of new food. Maybe there's some interesting stuff. If they're on theme with like the Nomad stuff, I'd expect them to be kind of tanky foods, but we'll see. Anyway, so some more tiers here. You'll see that even more recipes become available, cactus fruit salad and so forth. These are all level 400 chefing things. They haven't added like chefing 500 or anything with this patch, but there is a bunch more food. Tier 4 doesn't seem to add anything new to the list, but it does drop the price. So here you can see these would cost you 180 if we'd only got to tier 3. If you get to tier 4, they only cost you 130. So it's in you and everyone else's best interest to find those events and complete them as quickly as possible. And finally, we've got the tools. So that's the way that the merchants work in this map. There are also a bunch of achievements that you can run around and try and make progress on, such as finding lost coins in various areas. I knew I wasn't going to make that jump. And they also do some very interesting things with the way that skill challenges work. Now, there's going to be footage of this specifically in the next video I do, which doesn't have any commentary. It's a long video of me exploring this map, sadly during the night, because I think it looks so beautiful during the day. But there is a lot of very interesting quirks they've done. So the skill challenge down in the bottom left-hand corner of this map, you speak to a Hylek, and then you have to follow him basically through these jumping puzzles to a platform that he then tries to knock you off of. And if you can stay up there and kill him, that's how you complete the skill challenge. They do it really well. You'll notice that the aspects are basically all over the world, all over the map, sorry. There are these paper scraps you can find throughout the map that give you lore about the different areas, what the Zephyrite are, what they've been doing. And just in general, there's a lot of depth to the different things you'll find here. There's a mower in the map who's basically supposed to be speedrunner as far as I can see. And he runs insanely fast. He's a champion mob. I couldn't keep up with him, but I guess with a map full of players, maybe all of you could end up hunting him down, try and keep him crippled and chilled and stuff so that you can actually secure a kill somehow. There are, as you can see here, chests to be found. This is the lair of the beast. This is one of the cactus right here. And, you know, basically there is a lot to see. There's a very dark mine that you'll see somewhere out on the map, and apparently there's like a hidden jumping puzzle place in there. They've added a bit of everything, they really have. But the main mechanic with this map is the idea of the sandstorms. I will cut in some footage of a sandstorm in progress, hopefully, so that you guys can see. Oh, another mechanic before I forget to mention it is quicksand. So this is one of the obstacles. If I just try and walk through here, you actually notice this sign here. It says quicksand in New Crichton. If I try and walk there, I get slowed down massively, permanently blinded, and I start taking massive damage. Now, if I try and jump, I can actually sort of stave off the damage a tiny bit, but in the end, I went down there. And so you see, this is encouraging us to use the aspects that the Zephyrite have left around the map. Once I'm dead, I'll show you. We'll go back to prosperity here, prosperity waypoint. It's encouraging you to use the crystals that are on the map to actually port through very quickly. There is an achievement to survive in this quicksand for 15 seconds or longer. But yeah, you know, it's just one of those little examples of small flavor that really adds a bit more to the map. There's a Hylek over here that you can keep giving gold to because he's thirsty. Sorry, a Quaggan, because you can keep giving gold to him, and I'm not really sure why, but maybe eventually he'll do something. But there you go, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Was Nomad gear, you know, interesting enough to you as a reward? Don't forget, this is not including the actual personal, well, living story rewards that you can get also at the same time. But for me, just in terms of the new map, I think it's really quite cool. Anyway, guys, thanks. Have a great day. And I'll see you next time for the big tour.
Feel the fires of Balthazar. You're in our way.